My name is Irene. I'm the co-founder of The Winner Smile, an athlete's coach business. I'll be in the next episode of the Online Prosperity Show, where I'll be talking about burnout, about sports, about perfectionism, and about how to turn every situation in the best thing that has ever happened to you.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and boy, I'm really excited for what we're about to talk about today. Now, I want to ask you something if you're watching this at this present moment. If you've ever felt stuck or maybe overwhelmed or just unsure how to bring your highest potential in life, I think this is the show for you, because every week we are always bringing you exclusive stories, deep insights, and real world strategies from guests who have walked through the fire and actually found their path. And as you know, we just don't scratch the surface. We dig into the turning points, the invisible lessons, and internal battles that they would have conquered. And today, I am more than thrilled to welcome Irene. Irene, how are you doing today?
Great. Happy to be here and happy to be sharing my story. Because if it can have a little impact on others, that's already fulfilling.
Oh, absolutely. You're already impacting me right now. Can you see the smile on my face? Absolutely. So Irene Altadill is the founder of Inner Smile, but it's inner and winner at the same time. We're going to be talking about that. So yes, it's inner with a W right there. So she's an elite performance coach for athletes and high achievers. And you, the listener, we're going to be exploring her journey from burnout to breakthrough. And we are also going to be uncovering how she actually coaches other people to reclaim joy and excellence, and also the lessons that you can actually apply in your life today. Now, before we actually jump in, Irene, I can't wait to, go into your story and your life and experiences and things of that nature. But I want us to start right maybe from the beginning. If we would have met young Irene, say she was 8 or 10, what sort of a person would we have met?
I think I was known for always smiling, and I was crazy about the sports.
And that hasn't left you, because now you've got that winner inner smile and you're helping other athletes, to actually, be, do, and have a happier existence. So what sort of sports were you playing?
For most of my life, what I've been playing and competing, it's basketball. Like I started when I was 9 and then I retired at 31. So a lot of years. Yeah, and for me, I think basketball, it has been way more than just a sport or something like this. By far, it has been my values school. I'm extremely thankful of everything that I have learned through sport. And I don't really like, I used to always say, like, you can see how someone is when you watch them on the court. And I completely think it's true. Like, and it also applies to now. I'm in the last few years, I've been really into yoga or paddle. I can still see the same. Like, you really see the essence, like the what really moves people, the values they have. Like once you're there with the sport, it's like everything suddenly comes to reality. You cannot hide who you are, I feel.
Absolutely. Now, maybe you can take us into the basketball court, because I think for some people, basketball is just an orange ball that you have to put in a basket. But for you, it sounded like it was a classroom and an ethics, university for yourself. What were some of the things that you learned from the sport?
Commitment, discipline, resilience, team spirit, understanding that you cannot do anything alone, that you need more people, the importance to communicate, to achieve your goals, understanding that everyone plays a different role and that's okay. And we have to embrace that, and no one is above anyone. It's just like different roles to achieve a common goal. Humility, wanting to be better every day, but not only for yourself, but for something higher or bigger. I think that while I was a kid, I was not aware of all those things that I was learning. It was more when I jumped into the work environment that then I realized, like, things that were really obvious for me in terms of how to behave in a company and how to give the best of me and achieve the best of the whole team. I could very much see how much influence I was having from basketball.
Absolutely. So I've heard a lot of people that play basketball, they work extra hard to make shots, like they could do like maybe 500 shots a day, and so that they can have the muscle memory and things of that nature. Were you at that sort of level, or were you just a person who would wake up, put on your shoes on the day you had to play basketball, and pretty much when you don't have games in between, you're out there playing with your friends?
I have never competed professional level, so I'm not gonna say that I'm that, but yes, like I was training like 3 days a week and 1 day of competition every week, never skipping a training session or never skipping a game, because for me it was commitment with the team. Like when you don't go, it not only impacts you and the shape you will be, but it impacts the dynamic of the team. So you have to be very much aware of that. So even if, for example, I was injured, I would just go and support during the training session. That to me, I think plays a huge difference. That's understanding that no matter how you are still part of the team, and you have to show up for your team. In terms of improving, I still remember, when I was really little, obviously I'm right-handed, so very easy to do a lot of things like with the right hand. But that makes you like half player. You have to be able to do it with both hands. And you can just stay in a comfortable position of, oh no, I'm right-handed. Or force yourself and no, I'm just gonna go left, 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 left. And I remember that for like few months when I think I was 10 or something like this. After training, I was staying to just go and do the left, 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 and forcing myself to left, left, left. And the truth is that I ended up being, I think, better with my left hand than with the right one. And that really like also taught me like how much persistence helps, like resilience, saying, no, I want to be good at this. I'm just going to show up every day until I make it happen. In my case, I also know that I learn a lot through watching. So I would go watch a lot other teams, like in the same team, but other categories. And Yeah, I remember there's a movement. Like I was really good at rebounds, attack rebounds. And it was because I was always turning. I would make a turn that a lot of people like playing with the weight of the opponent and making a turn. And I learned that from a guy from the men's team who was short, but always also getting the rebound. So I was like, what is he doing? Like, I need to. And then by just watching him, I nailed it. And I actually achieved a lot of rebounds because of him.
Absolutely. While you're talking like that, talking about short players and things like that, I was looking at somebody like Steph Curry, who obviously has different moves, and it's natural to have basketball players being tall and of a be sort of a nice build and things of that nature. So while you were growing, and obviously basketball was a part of your well-being, what was your school like?
In school, I was always a really good student, to be honest. Always good grades. And I didn't need to study a lot to because I was smart.
That's interesting.
And then like there was several topics where I would be really good. That in those ones, it's true that for me there was no other option than getting a 10. In Spain, 10 is the maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I was not getting the 10, then it was like no, no. I know that here it shows my perfectionism or ambition, or not setting up just for whatever. Yeah, I could see that. But I also know that I was a little bit privileged in that sense. And sometimes I wonder if I had teachers and parents who even ask more from me, where I would get. Because I think that because I was always getting good grades, no one was really pushing me to go further. So it was a comfortable place. I don't know. I will die not knowing, but it's it's something that I have always wondered because it's yeah, that would be my taken from high school. Like most of the time, teachers are focused on people who are not getting enough grades, and then people who are already good enough, or they don't push them to perform better even if they know that they have room for improvement.
Absolutely. I like that. And I like that you're bringing in, there was not any expectation to sort of do well, from maybe the parents or the teachers around you, but your discipline carried you through and you actually obviously excelled in what you were doing. Now, do you have any siblings, or did you have, any other, members of your family that you also maybe would have had a healthy competition with, or they were just doing their own thing in their lives?
I have a younger brother. He's also really smart. He's not into sports. What that created an unbalanced situation at home, I would say, because I was the girl, but I was the one into sports, and he was the boy, and he was not into sports. Um, but we have always had a very healthy relationship, and we get along super well. Like we are friends on top of being just brother and sister. So I consider myself extremely lucky with that. And I haven't never felt that feeling of competition, or maybe competition for my mom's love. That's probably true, but
Oh, that happens with a lot of siblings, and growing up. Now, obviously, while you were growing up, where did PR or communications come from? Was there somebody around you that sort of inspired you to want to get onto that career path, or was it just something that happened because your grades were good and that was the next progression for you?
I think that there's three things come to me. I think I love humans. Like I don't know, I'm extremely amazed by humans since I was born. Like my mom says that it's not even normal, like how I just observe humans and don't judge whatever they. I love humans. So for me, working with people and being in touch with a lot of people and getting to know a lot of people, I think it was a no-brainer. Like I knew I needed that. Actually, I was really good at maths, physics, technology, but I didn't want to go through that path because I felt that I was not going to have this human connection that I very much need constantly. And the same for creativity. I think creativity for me, it's what makes me feel alive. Like in everything I do, like I need it through maybe art, through writing, but cooking and in everyday life. Like I need that stimulation. And then also there's a friend of my mom that she has always played kind of a role as my aunt. I think, well, I know that since I was very little, I admire her a lot. And she used to work in marketing. So I think that there's some influence in that too.
Absolutely. And you did mention art. There's a lot of art pieces behind you. Any of those your works of art?
No, those no. Those are all like 20th century Catalan artists, because that used to be the art collection of my great grandfather, who was very much someone who was promoting Catalan artists or some Spanish artists, but mostly Catalan artists of the century that he was living in.
Absolutely. So now we've established, your love for art obviously is inherited from your great grandfather, like you say, but then the aspirations of work are coming from, your mom's friend who was in the marketing space, and all of those now really showcase your, what you then went on to do. For 15 years, you were in PR and communications. It was obviously high pressure, high visibility, right exactly where you want to be amongst people. Tell us what a typical day in your life would entail.
Oof. It depends on the different moments in the 15 years. But I would always say, like, early morning was to catch up, to read news, to reflect, because then obviously, like, at least then after 10 a.m., it's when you can start reaching out people. And then it would be a lot of talking with people, talking with people, talking with people. And then after lunch, a little bit of more introspection or writing. And then again, a phase of now it's time to reach out again, people. Reach out people, reach out people, reach out people. So I think that would be the structure in the different positions I've been holding. More inward, outward, inward, outward. But yes, I remember always a lot of talking with a lot of people. Like when you're in PR, maybe in a day you can reach easily 80 people in one day.
That's a lot.
And more in the early days because you're working as a trainee and you're the one talking with journalists. And that's a lot. Like I remember once that my boss came, we need, like, he was really structured, a guy from the UK, but Indian origins, like, okay, we have to achieve all these today. And that's like 5 minutes per call. If you have all these hours, you can do all these things in one day. We were like this, like, really? um, but it was true. Um, and it's a lot of exposure because you get a lot of rejections too. That's something that I was talking with a friend this week, like how I think that PR helped me a lot on dealing with rejection. Because you talk with so much people every day and you already know that a lot of them will be rejecting you, that you don't even see it as bad, or you just see it as part of the game. So yeah, but I remember that in my early days, that sometimes on Friday afternoon I was just taking the afternoon for myself because I cannot talk with anyone. Like, I've been talking with so much people for so long that right now I need to just, so I would just walk around Barcelona alone because I needed to unwind and get inputs. Like, the beauty of Barcelona, it's just perfect in my opinion to recharge. Like, I didn't want to isolate and go to home or something like this. No, I wanted movement, but not having the need to connect and talk, because I was extremely exhausted from doing it for so many hours during the week.
I can imagine. And back in the time, you would probably be having the phone in your ear like this, and maybe it wouldn't be comfortable. But also, there's something that usually happens, where you're not sort of playing a game when you're walking past people, and then you'd be like, wait a minute, this could be the person that actually rejected me. Or this looks like or sounds like a person that could have rejected me. Because when you're just speaking on the phone, you have no idea what the other person looks like on the other end. But it could be just something that you could do for fun. But
Well, I also think that to manage well the rejection, empathy back then helped me a lot also, because I was very much aware that they were receiving my call, but they were receiving many other calls. And that's why also I was always making sure that my call was one where they felt supported, that I was there to be at their service and not wanting to annoy them. That sometimes that was their feeling. And I could understand if you just call and don't care about that person and throw your speech. If you make that call more a warm space, and ask, hey, are you interested in that topic? Can I help you offering more information about the topic? Would you like to? It changes the dynamic very much. And that's probably why also I was successful at my work. Because I understanding that, like your call, there's many others and that they are also humans, and not seeing someone who is just rejecting you, I think makes the difference on the conversation.
absolutely. Now, I like what you've just mentioned here, because rejection hurts. Okay. Not only are they saying no because maybe you called them at a time when they're also busy with whatever they're doing in their life, and they've received that as call number 47, and you're coming in with your own sort of setup as well. It starts to feel like it's a rejection on you as a person. But would you say your background in sports, because in sports you're not always winning, would have set you up for being comfortable with whatever was thrown at you in this particular instance, because some people would have really taken it to heart.
Yes, for sure, basketball teaches you resilience, and that it's not about one try. Like if you just try one shot, clearly the chances to win are very low. Or there's a game that I still remember nowadays. Like with my team, we were 20 down, and I know why, but for me it's like I don't give up. I really don't give up. And I say that's possible. And only because I believe that it was possible, I think I just put the energy on the team of minute by minute. Like even if you're below 20, if you just keep on working for the rest of the 20 more minutes that you have time. You have to make sure that they don't score and that you score. When you don't allow the current situation to stop you, and you see it like more, hey, this is a long run, like persistence, you learn that many times, then you get the word. And probably experiencing also this in basketball is what allows you to have strength to persist, because you know that many times if you persist, you can win the game.
Absolutely, because I've seen in some basketball games when the whistle is gone but the ball is still in the air and it goes all net, and you would never account for things like that. So the game is not over until everybody has walked off the pitch. I like that sort of space. But it looked like you were in your element, you were in your zone. What happened? Where did it all go wrong?
Well, I think that at some point at work there was many, like I cannot say one thing that was the reason. I think there's many factors at the same time happening. But my attachment to the company I was working with, so for me it was not just the company, it was kind of my baby. And sometimes I think that connection has a lot of positive things, but also it blurred my capacity to detach, to protect myself before the baby, things like that. I think that here my need to be perfect, or there's a part of that is very beautiful of being willing to be better every day. I think I like that part of me, but when taken to the extreme, it's very dangerous. And I think in that moment it was like I wanted to be the perfect boss, the perfect everything. I remember this feeling of I want to be the perfect everything, and that's impossible. Like you have to accept that you're not perfect, and that's fine, and that's enough. And in that moment, it's what, like I still remember HR telling me like, Irene, you're lacking of energy and you're there for all your teammates. Like, stop, reduce, and no, like I want to offer them the best. Like I know that if in that moment maybe with some of the people in my team, I decided to put a boundary and not be caring that much for them and protect more my energy because I was running out of and running empty, maybe it would have changed. That's another thing. Like when they tell you this part of on a flight, no, please make sure that first you put your mask on before helping others. I very much learned the lesson. And I think I was helping a lot of people while I was not getting enough oxygen for myself. Anthropologically, it's completely normal and more in women because we have always been taught to be at the service of others and take care of others. So it's not something that it's super easy for us to just dissolve and take out of our system because it's thousands of years in our woman system. But at least now I know that I'm aware of. So I can manage that. Like now when I see that suddenly I don't have that much battery, I say, okay, like, do I want to still be caring for all these people or I need to reduce a little bit? And it's not that you stop caring for that people. You still care so much for that people, but because you want to be able to give the maximum, you focus on yourself. And then go back.
Right. And thank you so much for taking us through that. And you've actually mentioned at some point that your brain collapsed in all of this. That sounds intense. Just walk us through what was happening, what that felt like, and what actually triggered this whole collapse.
Well, I think as far as I'm aware and I have memory, like it's not something that happens like one day to the other one. Like I was taking a lot of new challenges at work. And as I mentioned, I wanted to be the best one. And do it well and perfect. So I remember it was on a month of September that we also had like 3 communication crises in just one month for different topics. And don't get me wrong, I love these moments. It's action, it's intensity. Like I thrilled and I was extremely good at those ones, like really good. And I had fun, because it was emotion. But it drains a lot of energy. So I think that month already like took me down very much. I remember my mom telling me, Irene, I think you need a break. I think why don't we go on a holiday? Or so I was starting to. Then you start running empty, and because you run empty, in my case, I was going to the gym and not having energy to work out. But for me, working out, or sports are kind of mandatory. That's another thing I have learned, like non-negotiable. And then that starts building up, building up, building up. And after 6 months of being in this very not healthy or mentally healthy situation of feeling exhausted, not going to the gym because I had no energy, working many hours because I was not as efficient as I used to be. Like it's just this circle. And suddenly, like I remember being in a place where it was completely a hamster wheel where I would just like function to survive and do whatever I was just doing continuously. And I remember like I'm known for being very creative and sharp. And suddenly I was in meetings and I was not, it was like I was slow, mentally slow. And it was not that I was not trying, it was just like I was not as quick. And there was also a day where simple questions as what do you want to eat for dinner, or which restaurant would you like to go? For me, it was like, I cannot make one more decision. Like I can. It's really like, you really can. Like I thought it's not possible, but it's possible to reach that place where really something as simple as what to eat was like,
Like
wow,
a life decision.
I cannot. Please, someone order for me. I whatever is fine.
Mm.
Um, that's the end where you feel that you cannot. Yeah, you need someone to be taking decisions for you, because you really cannot. And on top of that, because, well, like usually you arrive this because there's a lot of anxiety, so you also suffer anxiety attacks. And the day where I saw, okay, I that's you have to change something, stop something. It's because something really little that usually would not bother me. I start crying, and I had to hide in an office at the office. And for 45 minutes, I started crying like a baby. No, like nonstop, nonstop. I could not stop. And I remember I was hiding, but then there was a girl who saw me, and she came in, and I said, I can't anymore. And she said, it looks like it was already a few months ago that you couldn't. Like, that's like, you're too surpassed.
So they could
Um,
see, they could already see, but nobody said anything.
no, 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 no. She could see by the way I was crying. Actually, that day, she took me with some other colleagues to have a drink. And then those colleagues told me, wow, we didn't know you were that bad. We were actually thinking that you were a superhero because how much you were showing up no matter what. And that actually made me really sad, because I was like, I'm so good at performing and hiding and just being there, showing my best version no matter what, boom, boom, boom. Like that, I have been feeling very stressed and drained for so many months, and no one in the office, except HR, that I was already talking with them, could see anything. So it's this, like, should I feel proud or should I feel sad? Because yes, I'm so good that I have been performing really well that no one was noticing, but I was dying inside and no one really noticed. Like, I'm invisible. And I think that this feeling, most of the high achievers who have been through this share that feeling of this. There's a pride of, wow, I have been showing up and no one has noticed, but wow, I've been showing up and no one has noticed. I'm invisible. And I want to be seen because we all want to be seen. So there's this mixed feeling when you get to that point. And for them saying it looks like it has been for so long, it was because the way I was crying. Like, it's when you see that someone has been like bottling a lot of things up, and
Yeah,
then
like a Coca-Cola bottle, and it just
and
explodes
then
on you.
it explodes in a way that you say, wow, it looks like you needed to explode before. um yeah, so it was like that. And then I had to take like, from that day, we decided with the company to take mental health leave. because at the beginning I didn't know if I wanted to come back or not. And my own therapist told me, don't make any decision right now because you are not in the mental space to make any decision.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, she was completely right. And I'm very thankful that we had that conversation. And this helps me now to, when I see someone in that position, to hold space and say, hey, don't make any decision right now, that because your mental space is in survival. Like, it's not you really who is making
I
the
mean,
decision.
you couldn't make decisions for dinner or what to wear now. You couldn't be making decisions about the rest of your life, So I understand that.
And yeah, then there was 2 months where I just basically was taking care of myself. Like, I was just taking care of myself. Main duty, taking care of myself.
Fantastic. Now, mom said you needed a holiday. Was that part of taking care of yourself as well?
Well, I remember that the first week of that period, my brother, that I have told you that we get along really well, he took me on a trip to Lanzarote. Because it's this, like, you need to unwind, but at the same time you cannot be making decisions, so you cannot really travel alone because that traveling requires a lot of decisions.
A lot. Where to stay, what to eat, how to go, and yeah.
So in that I was, well, I always say, like, I think my brother in a way saved my life during this period. He was an amazing anchor during this period of recovery. But yes, the first week he took me to Lanzarote just to be close to the ocean. That it helps a lot to recover, to see other landscape, to change the scenario, to detox a little bit. And he was just holding space for me. We didn't talk much because I was exhausted. Like, it was, but traveling around, getting some sunlight, nature, all those little things help a lot. And I even remember that when I got back, I met with some teammates. She was part of my team, and she came to me and said, "Wow, you look really pretty." And I was, Shani, I'm actually quite pretty. It's just that you have seen my face during these last 6 months that have been quite intense and very, like, you really feel gray, I think. It's like your skin don't shine. You're just gray because you're gray inside in a way. So
you
it
lack
shows
that
that.
you lack that inner smile, right? It's not there, and people can tell, and would obviously would not maybe mention that.
Exactly. And then it's shown, even if you don't see it, and it's actually, you look in a way the same, but you're not really the same.
So in your work, you actually describe your burnout as the best thing that ever happened to you, and I think that's a bold claim. How did your internal sort of landscape shift pretty much after that, and why would you say that this was the best thing that ever happened to you?
Because that pushed me really, really to look inward. Like, I was already into yoga, and I have always asked a lot of questions, and to myself and inside. But when you're in that level of anxiety, like, you really have to be in every moment asking yourself, is this helping me or is this draining me? Because your life, your survival is at risk. so every little thing is like, is this helping me or is this not helping me? So the process of self-awareness during this period was huge. Like nothing comparable. Like it, when you're pushed into this limit situation, you get to know yourself at levels that you wouldn't have in any other situation. And also because of how I am, that I like to understand why things happen. I took this period also to ask a lot of questions, investigate, like from a chemical perspective, from a like more the nervous system, how it works, why these things happen, how the mind works, etc., etc., etc. So it took me to a new level of understanding of life and myself. That I wouldn't without that moment. And I knew that I had to go through that for something higher. I remember myself telling myself, okay, all this pain has to be for a higher reason that right now I cannot see. That was a sentence I would repeat to myself a lot because it's really painful to be there. Like I have this mix of, I would love everyone to experience what you get from that without the pain of that. But yeah, like I have found later why it all had to happen. Like now my self-awareness is 10 times. And if I start seeing myself in a place that it's not peaceful or calm, or it's like, okay, go inward. What is happening? What is already this muscle of asking myself, what is happening? What do I need? What am I lacking? It's a muscle that I developed in during that period. And this allows me nowadays to have in my opinion, a very balanced, calm place in life.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people crave this sort of peace, but you have to go through something in order for you to then discover your own internal well-being. And I quite like what you're saying, because as you say, this burnout happened for you, and it's now given you a new realization of your own self. Now, tell us what it is that you're doing now. Are you still just taking care of yourself and, breathing, and well, how are you keeping yourself busy these days?
Um, well, after the burnout, I decided that it was because for so long I was already thinking of that, of taking a sabbatical year. And I took it, and I spent 1 year studying the things that I love, but I was always like, no, I don't have time. I don't have time. Then I had time. Then I was also traveling around Asia. I spent a lot of months in India also because I was studying a lot of yoga and Ayurveda. And then 2 years ago, I came back here to Barcelona. And since then, I'm working on my coaching business. And I actually think that one of the reasons, like I have said that since the very beginning, since I was little, I'm passionate about humans. I just love you all, us all, and how we are all crazy, in a positive way. And we all have many stories behind who we are and why we are the way we are. And in this trip, I remember specifically there was a moment where a woman explained me a story about her, and her friend told me, "Wow, she never explains that. It's so weird that." And she was, yeah, but I don't know. She listens really well. Like, and it's true that it has always happened that to me, that people open really quickly with me. And I think it's only because I have this love for humans that they feel that I'm really interested in their story. So they feel comfortable sharing it. So I thought that that was actually my superpower that I had to put at the service of society. And that's what I'm doing. Like, I've been always into bringing awareness to the world. I think before it was through PR. Because I used to work a lot in projects that beyond selling a company, it was a mission on Earth and a change on Earth that they wanted. And now I think it's more about these humans. Like, they want to have a change, they want to have an impact. And it's by bringing awareness into themselves that they will achieve that. So this process of awareness, listening, and humans, it's what I'm doing right now, or I've been doing for the last 2 years. I'm still also taking very much care of myself, and that's probably, I would say, probably not. It's priority one, because if not, I have learned that you cannot be doing your service. And then priority two, like bringing all this knowledge and awareness that I have developed to accompany others to get that awareness and shine.
Absolutely. I think you've already established for us that when you're flying, you have to put your mask on first. And, that's exactly what you're now also helping others achieve, because I viscerally believe you can't do well if you don't feel well. So if somebody's watching this right now, Irene, and they think, oh, I really want to know a little bit more, about your services and how you help people. First of all, what can they get when they work with you, and how can they start that?
I think most importantly, it sounds a little bit crazy because it shouldn't be that way, but it is. First of all, what they would get, it's a space for themselves, just for themselves. I'll just be there holding space for themselves. And in a way, they will have a conversation with me, but it's not really with me, it's with themselves. Because my goal is that they get to know themselves better, because there's no other person on earth who knows better what's best for yourself than yourself. So I'm not going to tell anyone what to do. That would be, in my opinion, be a terrible coach. But I know that I'm extremely good at accompanying you to know what's best for yourself. And this is something that also, as time passes, you can develop on your own. But at the beginning, having a coach, a mentor, a therapist, it helps a lot. Like, to go in this inward journey, to have someone that guides you through questions, challenges, discussions with love. Sometimes we just need a hug, and understand that it's okay to be tired. Something as little as this, as saying, I'm tired, and someone saying, it's okay that you're tired. This hug also is very healing. So yeah, I think that's what they would get with me. Or I like very much, my ex-boyfriend used to say that we get along really well. And he said, Irene, you listen, you care, and you elevate.
And in the world that we live today, not a lot of people do that. You know, we think we're connected on our phones, we think we're connected on our social media, but we're actually very disconnected from everyone. And I think when, you know, you show up in somebody else's space, you create that pattern break which they are longing for. So if somebody is feeling a bit disconnected and they want somebody who listens and somebody that can hold that space for them, where can they go on the internet to find you, Irene?
Probably the best way right now it's LinkedIn.
I'll put that link in the show notes here so that people can, you know, get started with you and get on to that journey. Now, Irene, you painted a picture of a high achieving PR consultant who was at the top of their game. You were going through what you would have liked at that particular moment, but obviously something was missing and you found that, and that very thing was always inside of you. If somebody shows up to you right now and they're obviously high achieving in their career, they everything is ticking the boxes, everything looks like it's humming, they still feel empty inside, and they, like you said, have a gray face, what would you tell them to have a comment from somebody that, hey, you look beautiful today?
Trust.
Mm.
That it all comes for a reason, and that everything comes for your higher good.
Because so many people want to control the situation, everybody wants to be on top of things, and but yet things unfold at the time that they do when they should.
Yes, if it's very hard when you're in a tough position to trust that it comes from for a positive outcome. But if you really hold on that thought, on top that it's more manageable and you can be more resilient, you will be able to see the positive things, because everything has a double perspective. Everything, even the things that we think are good, like as I say, like I'm very passionate, or I'm very achiever and I want to be perfect, and but it also has downsides, like I'm very passionate, maybe like the bad things I also live them very intensely, and that's not so nice sometimes. Yeah, it's understanding that it's all dual, so trust that this also has a positive face even if you cannot see it right now.
There's night, there's day, there's light, there's darkness. You know what I mean? We could celebrate, yay, it's daytime, but soon it's going to be light and, you know, darkness. Yay, it's nice and sunny. And then there's rain happening at that particular time. I really appreciate that insight because, and one thing that I actually learned from all of this, Irene, is I feel like you're saying whatever it is that you're going through, be very present in your go through and pay attention, because one day you'll have a good story to tell, not only on the Online Prosperity Show, but it will be the thing that actually defines your journey. And I think that's a really good lesson for anyone to take from that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now that you've brought us into your world and we are all excited, what's next? What are you working on that we can be excited about, that you know, we'll be on the lookout and maybe help you celebrate and things of that nature?
Well, like as I have mentioned, I'm passionate about sports, so I have decided to focus on coaching athletes. Also, is a profession that a lot of people feel very lonely there. So it's very much needed, and it's also and for me, obviously, because I love sports, it's very fulfilling. So I'm very much focused on that. And that's where I'm hoping to build my future career, or at least for the upcoming years. I'm coaching some athletes here in Spain, hopefully soon everywhere in the world. And we are also organizing some workshops for athletes. And now this week, actually, we launched a project with my partner, Jordi, my co-founder Jordi, because beyond our coaching and our workshops, we want to create that community of athletes where we call it the inner gym, where they come to our space to just talk about what's going on internally, and the challenges they are facing. Yesterday we had the first session and it was so fulfilling, like a golf player and tennis player talking between them as they were actually in the same place regarding confidence. So they could really help each other and share experiences. That like creating the space, and later they say they felt very warmth, like our warmth and trust. So they felt safe to be sharing. And this bonding was really beautiful. So
Great stuff. Great stuff. Now, Irene, this conversation has been eye-opening and challenging and deeply inspiring. Thank you so much for allowing us to walk through your shadows and triumphs and actually learn from you. And because your life story and your experience have got so much value in whoever was listening to this particular episode today. So thank you so much for having put your mask on first so that you could help us slide down. And yeah, I appreciate you.
thank you. Thank you for giving that space. And if this helps very little to someone, I'll be really happy.
Oh, absolutely. Don't you worry. You're going to be having to block your LinkedIn because everyone will be coming in and wanting to learn more from you and just find out what's next in your journey. So thank you so much. Now, for those that are watching, I also thank you for having watched up until this far. And obviously, if you have been inspired by any of the talks that we've had so far or the conversation that I just had with Irene, and you think, you could help someone who could also be going through maybe burnout or trying to reclaim their joy in the middle of all this performance demands and anxieties, just kindly share this episode with them. It might be exactly the mask that they actually need in order for them to breathe. So many people are going through stuff based on what is happening in the world right now, and these sort of conversations are not being had enough. So just share this with a loved one. Say nothing. One day they will thank you for having done that. And I can't thank Irene enough for the time that you spent on the call today. And yeah, it's one of those things that, sometimes you just need that winner or inner smile, and it's already within. And people like yourself would have had to go through what you went through so that you can send the elevator down and help us be, do, and have happier existence. So I'll be putting the links so that you can connect with Irene in the show notes there. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for tuning into the Online Prosperity Show to get this type of information. So until next time, stay persistent, stay curious, and keep choosing prosperity from the inside out. Bye for now.